Hello, hello, hello. Folks, welcome back to the channel. It's been a hot minute. I feel like I haven't done one of these in ages. I was gone for a while, I was out there, I was enjoying this amazing weather that we're getting just now, but that is over now, and I'm back. I'm here, and I've brought you a new video. Not just a new video, I've brought you a whole new series. Folks, welcome to On Air with FPI. Okie dokie, so what exactly is On Air with FPI? Firstly, it's an idea. It's an idea that Mike and I came up with while we were discussing other ideas for the channel. Mike, of course, you'll recognise through the FPI news videos that goes up here. We both wanted to do like an online chat show, and that's exactly what we did. We went out there, we lined up a bunch of interviews, and folks, they are doozies. We just can't wait for you to see them. I don't want to say too much, I don't want to give away too much for the series. Today's episode, I'm sitting down having a chit chat with Declan Shalvey. Declan Shalvey, of course, I have Time Before Time sitting here. This is not a paid promotion, but Time Before Time is absolutely incredible. You really should be picking this up. Head down to your local Forbidden Planet and grab a copy. You're missing out if you've not read it. We talk about it in today's episode. I hope you love it as much as I loved making it. I loved talking with Declan. Really, really good guy. Before we jump straight into the episode though, I do have to bring up today's sponsor. Not I do, I would like to bring up today's sponsor. Sorry, Ian. Ian Who Can't Sleep. Ian Who Can't Sleep is a local artist. He is taking Instagram by storm. His work is honestly incredible. If you stick around to around the middle of the video, there'll be a little, a little segment of how you can check out his work, where you can check out his work, purchase his work. He is really good, and he is, don't sleep on Ian Who Can't Sleep. Anyway, I don't want to digress too much. Please enjoy the first episode of On Air with FPI. I am joined today by the one and only Declan Shalvey. Declan, thank you very much for fitting us into your busy schedule. How are you today?
I'm good. As we were saying before we recorded, I'm very hot. And I don't mean that in a sexy way. It is very, very warm here.
So I would just like to jump straight in. You're once again straight back to the top of so many people's reading lists with Time Before Time. Can you run us through your newest sci-fi thriller?
Sure, that's great to hear. Thanks. Time Before Time is it's a kind of a mix between a sci-fi crime story. It's about this guy by the name of Tetsuo, who is part of a criminal organization in the future called the Syndicate. And what the Syndicate does is, for the right price, will basically smuggle you back in time. So if you're really rich, or if you're a family trying to get have a better life, basically you're kind of like smuggled through the black market into a better time because the future is so horrible. And it's written by myself and Rory McConville. It's illustrated by Joe Palmer, with Chris O'Halloran on colours, with Hassan Othman Alau is lettering it, Sasha Head is designing it, Heather Antos is editing it, and Image Comics are publishing it. I think I've covered everybody. Yeah. But it's my attempt to do something kind of I've kind of written some like crime graphic novels in the last few years, and I wanted to write something episodic, something where you could just kind of take ideas and go. Graphic novels are different. They're very planned, and exactly beginning, middle, and end, done, which I really like. But I wanted, as a writer, I wanted to do something that would kind of go different places. and just something that was just kind of more, comic book esque in
Okay.
like mixing with genres and things like that. And yeah, it's gone great so far. Yeah, it's been, the whole team have been brilliant, and everyone's been really kind about the book. So you never know how these things are going to go, but yeah, it's gone great.
Brilliant, fantastic. And it definitely reads as if the creators were having fun behind it. You kind of get that balance sometimes when you're reading and you're like, I don't even know if the creators enjoyed writing this, but it definitely reads very fun.
Well, I mean, you'd hope that with creator-owned comics, that's how it is anyway. But yeah, like, I mean, myself and Rory are banging ideas off each other, and Joe is just a phenomenal artist, and just the world building he was able to do visually, and even for like his kind of more minimalistic, design heavy composition work, like Chris does these really lovely like touches to his work. It's not like colored just flat or anything. There's really kind of great pops of color. I don't know. I just feel we did pretty much the whole arc before the book even came out, and I just knew we had something good on our hands.
Perfect. And I know you mentioned that you've always you've done crime before, and this was, you wanted to do something episodic. But what would you say is there any like main influence behind time, or just all in there?
I mean, I would say like Looper was kind of, if you've seen the film Looper,
Yeah.
I mean, like that was kind of a for me and Rory, it was like a touchstone. It was a future-esque story, but had it felt very grounded, and like it was low sci-fi rather than high sci-fi. I mean, I think that was like a touchstone we came up with originally. Not came up with, sorry. There's something that we kind of connected on originally, but beyond that, not really. Like, I've been asked a lot about like time travel inspirations and stuff, but like time travel isn't really the core of the book. Like, I love time travel stuff. I love sci-fi and some great films and TV shows with all that in it. But like, this wasn't an attempt to do anything else. It was just kind of, for us as we were working on it, it became more about the characters, and the sci-fi element is just kind of what pushes it, rather than it being like a quote unquote sci-fi book. We kind of use time travel to mess with the drama in the story. So yeah, I can't really say there was anything else that we were like touching off of. We just kind of, once we had that original kind of spark, we just kind of went on from there on our own.
Fantastic, brilliant. And obviously you are both a writer and an artist. When it comes to creating for yourself, now I know the obvious answer to this is it's my job, but is there any like personal gain, something that clicks inside you behind, I'm creating this world, I'm making these characters? Is there like something spiritual for yourself regarding your career?
Yeah, I mean, it's all kind of personal, I mean, then again, it is all my job too. Not with creator comics, that's not my job. That's like the Marvel stuff or DC or whatever. That's my job. I get paid to do that. It's not that I don't care. I'm working on a Marvel thing. I just finished something, and it takes a hell of a lot of determination and graft. And if I didn't love doing it, I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
And maybe at this stage I'd have to, but like, thankfully I'm not in a position where I have to. I'm genuinely enjoying the things I'm working on. And you're always trying to tell a story, that's always really important. You're trying to do what other people did for you, which is like just tell cool stories that people enjoy. And that's what it comes down to. With creator and stuff, it's different because like that costs me money,
Of course.
And I wouldn't be doing that. And also, I'm not likely to make a lot of money off of it. So they are way more labors of love. Like, it's why I haven't really like written and drawn a comic, creator-owned comic, just because, I need to live somehow to get by on all. Like, whereas what I'm able to do is like, because I do well with like drawing mainstream comics, I can afford to put a bit of money aside and pay people to do creator-owned that we can all share the rights on, or share ownership on. So those are more like Savage Town was a story about like Limerick in Ireland, where I lived for years. That was never going to be in a Marvel comic, so it's an opportunity to do stuff that you don't and also crime. Like I didn't really get to do crime in my Marvel work,
Mhm.
so I made a point of that's what I was doing with Creator Round, originally. So, but it's all good. Like I wouldn't say like I like the Marvel work more or less than the other. You get something different from each of it.
Okay.
I get something more. I get something more satisfying from creator own work, but there's definitely a level of satisfaction with the work for hire work, especially when you're getting to kind of like when you have more like the Hulk book I did recently. That was one of the most creatively satisfying experiences I ever had, and that was like that I got paid to do it. So yeah, there's always something like it's your job. You got to got to be professional. You got to get your stuff done, but there's always something. There's always got to be something of you in it, especially when you're drawing. It takes so long.
Yeah, I imagine. Do you have a preference? Do you prefer writing or drawing? I imagine, as you said, drawing will take longer.
I prefer drawing.
Okay.
I don't like writing. Well, I like. I think it's a quote I read somewhere. Is I don't like writing. I like having written. I like when it's done, but I don't like the process of it because it's so much easier to just go downstairs and just like draw. Whatever drawing and commission. It's not that it's completely mindless, but it's not as mentally taxing as like developing a story.
Yeah.
And when you're working off a script, I mean, you're just drawing stuff. Like it's very work intensive, but like my favorite mode of being is inking. I just love inking. I love inking my pencils. It's my favorite thing to do. I love doing it. I don't love writing. I like how things. I like solving the puzzle of how to tell a story. That's enjoyable, but the act of figuring it out is very frustrating.
Yeah.
And the early stages of drawing, like when you're doing your layouts and stuff, that's really difficult. So it's very stressful. It's very complicated. Same with penciling, but like drawing is more immediately satisfying. I definitely like that part the most. But I also really like writing something and not having to draw it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You just get an issue of Time Before Time back from Joe. It's like, oh man, I'm glad I didn't have to draw
that. Either or, drawing or writing, would you say you have a form of kryptonite, something that you don't want to touch?
I don't really get writer's block because I don't really. I mean, to be fair, I don't write that much. I'm writing. My problem is that I have a certain. I feel like I have a capacity mentally for writing, like keeping 3 ideas in my head, and if there's any more ideas than that, then I kind of hit a wall, and I'm not really able to move on one thing. So for me, I kind of just need to. I think when I was writing Hulk, I was doing two, 3 other things. I had to just bail on one just because I just couldn't focus effectively. So that's more my problem because there's so much administrative stuff that comes with writing, like solicits or schedules and things like that. Like back in the days, I was just drawing for Marvel. Just get the deadline, draw the comic, done. It was great. Sometimes it's very frustrating because it feels like I'm not doing as much because the great thing about drawing is like you literally have the page that shows what you did, especially when you're drawing like on paper. For the script, it feels more nebulous. Everything else is more nebulous, but so I get a bit frustrated in that regard. But there's always something to do. So writer's block isn't my problem. My problem is actually just like sitting down and actually doing it. Once I'm doing it, it's fine. You can always change. You can always like come back to it and fix it. It's just there's when I need to write a script, there's probably 4 covers and something else I need to do, and it's way easier to just go back and just go draw something.
Yeah.
Well, not easier, but I guess mentally safe. Whereas like that's just my problem is forcing myself to actually write, which sounds stupid, but that tends to be the problem.
I get it. Yeah, I hear it. Okay, so if we could go back, before you were writing or drawing as a career, obviously you are both a writer and an artist. So were you a reader growing up? What type of reader were you? Were you the type of person that would follow authors or genres?
No, yeah, of course. I was a reader. I still am. I just it's harder to read when you're pumping out the stuff these days. But when I was a kid, I mean, I loved cartoons and like Star Trek and things like that. But I actually had a good local library, so I was reading a lot. I read, the classics, Roald Dahl and what have you. But when I started reading comics, I mean, it was hard for me to get US comics, so it was a case of a lot of UK reprints that'd be on newsstands. But I was able to start tracking down American comics. I just went all in. So it was, but I mean, I enjoy various genres. I lean towards crime and, like I was just looking over films I've been watching recently. It's mainly like depressing dramas and, crime series. Excuse me. Yeah, but I'm also big into my science fiction as well. Not a horror guy, although I wrote Bog Bodies is a horror book basically, but I'm not. Like, I'm too scaredy to watch horror films. I just can't do it. But no, I think I pretty much enjoy all genres. I just don't necessarily want to work in like, kids' books are amazing. I just don't want to make one. I think when I was younger, with things like music, it'd be really snooty. It's like, oh, it's all about Radiohead, man, or whatever. And, I'd be really snooty towards everything else. But now I think I just kind of like, I can appreciate things for what they are, be it like, pop music. Actually, maybe I should take that back because I don't understand music now at all. I don't know what's going on. But as regards stories, though, I would say I'm pretty open, except for horror. I very much try to never watch horror films.
Hello Forbidden Planet friends, welcome back to a very special unboxing. Today we're going to be unboxing some of our favourite Funko Pop soda figures. I've pulled a fair few of them off the shelves, but we are going to unbox two of my favourites that I think that you folks would really enjoy. Okay, right.
What about withdrawing then? Was it comics or particular pieces of fine art that caught your attention?
It was comics. I mean, cartoons probably originally when I was very young, but I think I was drawing comics before I realized what comics were. I'd be drawing them in like in sketchbooks and things when I hadn't really read that many. But yeah, it was like a lot of early stuff, like some of those kind of like reprints. Any popular cartoon. When I was a kid, there'd be like some kind of comic of it, like DuckTales or the Turtles, or so that was probably, what sucked me in. But then Asterix was a big thing for me when I was young. But I think I just hit at the right time where the X-Men cartoon and the Spider-Man cartoon in '94, I think it was, and the Batman cartoon, they all just hooked me right into those characters, and I just tracked down wherever I could. Again, it was hard to get the original stuff, but it was mainly superhero stuff. I like everyone in America thinks I must love 2000 AD, but I never really got into it. Even though it was on news, like I said, it looked too scary, so I probably just was too intimidated by it. But even though like the subject, like the grim sci-fi is what I love now, but as a kid, I like my superhero stuff. So I was big into like Spider-Man, X-Men, Batman for years and years. But I would say when I was like maybe 17 or 16 or something, when Preacher came out, I don't know what made me pick that up, but I was in a bookshop in Limerick and I remember seeing it, and it was a comic, but it was like a book, and it just kind of, and I don't even think I knew Gareth Dennis was Irish or anything like that. Whenever I pick it up, it just opened me up to like, you know, comics is just so much more than superheroes, and that definitely opened me up in a big way.
Fantastic. So to touch a bit on like the future, if you like, so like you have worked on, I could sit here and name all of my favourite characters, and chances are you've worked on all of them, you know, like Deadpool, Venom. Is there anything that you still feel that you've not had a genuine stab at that you want to give a go across any? Daredevil? Wow, okay.
Oh, yeah, Daredevil, big time. I've always wanted to do Daredevil. Daredevil, the Man Without Fear is like one of the like right around the time of Preacher, it was, I think, Daredevil Returns and Daredevil, Man Without Fear, Batman Year One. Those books really just maybe messed me up.
Fantastic.
But no, Daredevil, I've gotten to work on Batman. I did All-Star Batman, which was like I did these backup stories for the main book. I'd love a proper stab at that. I'd love to write and draw a Batman story. I mean, these are obvious. These are, you know, I know. Like,
sorry,
you know,
sometimes the obvious answers.
Blue Beetle, that's my character. I'm very basic. But I mean, it just like, it's also like the street level. I love that kind of the more like noirish street level type superhero stories. As regards characters, those would be my main ones. I think there's things like you know, Green Lantern maybe, or you know, maybe Wolverine's another one. But I feel like I've had a good stab at Wolverine with the Return of Wolverine, and I mean any of those characters, like a 6 to 12 issue miniseries, I'd love to have a stab at. Like, I would never have thought like Hulk when I did the Hulk one shot this year. Never would have thought that would be like something I'd really like, but it just turned out to really work. So you never know sometimes. But if like I had like a bucket list, I mean Batman, Daredevil, because I'm boring.
No, absolutely not. As I say, sometimes the most obvious answers are the best ones. Be completely honest with me. Have you ever Googled yourself?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Absolutely. Anyone who says they haven't is lying.
Well, you might be really good at this game, because we're about to play What Does Declan Shalvey?
Oh, okay. Okay, I've not done that. That's brilliant. It's scary. Okay, go on. So
I Googled What Does Declan Shalvey, and I wanted to pick like the top 3 What Does Declan Shalveys. So, in no particular order, your first one. What does Declan Shalvey mean?
Oh, I mean, what does Declan Shalvey not mean? You know, I mean, like brilliance, skill, heroism. I mean, it means so many things to so many people. I couldn't possibly answer that question. That's for the world to decide.
There we go. Google, get onto it.
Yeah.
What does Declan Shalvey do?
Oh, he sits inside a lot. that's pretty much like you can sum up my entire life. Yeah, Declan Shalvey draws comics, watches TV, goes for a walk. That's it. That's me. It's all I got. Actually, sounds pretty grim, but yeah, whatever.
It's the life.
Yeah,
this is This is my favourite one. So I know I said in no particular order, but I did keep this one to the end. Or maybe it's just me thinking too much into it. So the best one was, what does Declan Shalvey stand for?
Jesus. What does he stand for? God. I'm trying to think of a funny answer and not one that makes me sound like a total wanker, but I don't know. Oh jeez. Oh, this is torture. What does he stand for? telling good stories, and treating the people he works with well.
Okay. This one's just an honor.
And also and helping somebody up when you can.
Yes. What? Yes, absolutely. Top bloke. This one.
I'm a hero.
This one's just like a kind of honourable mention, because when I read it, I was like, well, it's pretty obvious if they're watching this video, but what does Declan Shalvey look like was the second highest searched.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you can do an image search. That wouldn't be
I
too
know, right?
Yeah. Also, I would say I look very different now. I kind of look like one of those dogs with the floppy ears. I normally have a very I have like a close shaved haircut for years, but when lockdown happened, I was just like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Not like I'm going to be looking to impersonate girls in the next year because I have to stay inside. But now I'm informed I have a quote Jon Snow situation going on. So
yeah, just keep it going.
It's way too hot for it right now. I put my hair in a ponytail the other day. I'm like, I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, you look like a sad 40-year-old man. So that's what I'm going. That's probably the look I'm going to go for.
Let's do it. So, I wanted to ask my own question there, rather than sticking in with the most.
It's going to be hard to beat those, man.
Oh yeah. Well. I hope this one's a thinker. So rather than what does, I want, does Declan have a magnum opus?
Yeah, I mean, Injection would be it. I think it's probably close between like the Moon Knight 6 issues I do with Warren, or Injection, which is like the longest. It would be the longest one story uninterrupted that I told. I do have one I want to do. I have something in mind for next year that I'd like, and that would be something I write and draw, and maybe even color too. But yeah, I think I'm lucky that I've got some really good stuff under my belt. Even the Deadpool arc I did is obscenely well regarded by fans, more so than deserved, I think. But I'd like to think, I think I'd like to think that in the next couple of years I'll have one that's all me.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Yeah, well, that'll be the one. I know this is not the easiest subject to talk on, but unfortunately it did happen. How did you spend your lockdown? Did you pick up any new hobbies or stick to some old ones?
Nope. Got nothing. Well, I mean, it was weird when lockdown happened. I had some projects that basically just kind of went off, blew up in my face. So it was very strange there was a period there where I had nothing to do, and I don't operate well with nothing to do. I need something to be thinking about. I need something to be kind of concentrated. I need a project. And so I started thinking what the hell am I going to do? Am I going to do comics online, or how am I going to how do I make a living doing this if publishers are not publishing or whatnot? And I think it forced me to kind of reevaluate the priorities and I was offered some gigs that I could have taken and they'd have been fine, but I know what I want to do from now, and I want to do projects that are that mean more to me, be it a big Marvel project or something that that is more for me. So I would say what a good thing that came out of lockdown for me personally was reprioritizing things in a way, because I think I kind of was floundering there for a couple of years, just kind of personally, I was in a weird place, and I didn't really have a thing I really put out. In the Punisher book I was working on wasn't printed, so it was a bit of a wobble for me personally. But then I just COVID helped me kind of focus a bit more in that regard. And it would, I mean, look, like I said, I draw stuff and I watch shows, so that didn't really affect things in COVID too much. But I mean, I kind of made myself take a walk every day, which is something I wasn't doing before, which I should have been, just because I was inside all the time before COVID happened, and then COVID happened and everyone was in all the time. And even though I live in a different bubble than everybody else, everybody else was in the same bubble. And I know that I kind of needed to give myself something more to do, to go outside, to refocus, especially with so many things moving around. I think even just for my head, it was good to kind of like create that practice for myself.
Okay.
So I did kind of start a new thing.
Well, there you go. It's a good thing to start. Love a good walk. You briefly touched on it just there. Are we allowed to talk about Punisher Barracuda?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's not really much to say. I drew 4 of the 5 issues. The whole thing was written, but I mean, once COVID, I mean, I don't know where it stands with Marvel now, but like I know not every project that they had is coming back. So I honestly just don't know the stories with that. I mean, Marvel generally prints things that they make, and I did 4 issues. I mean, I think 3 of them were colored. So like the first issue I think was printed and was in a warehouse somewhere.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's frustrating, but at the same time, you know, I'm not Marvel, and you know they're going to be very careful about when and how these things come out because so much money is involved. So yeah, I mean, I'd like it to come out, but at the same time, I know one issue that isn't drawn yet. So if they start bringing it out, I'll have to like take a break and finish it. But I mean, I would like to. I was really, really happy with that series. Ed he wrote such a great story, and it felt like a Max book again, you know, even though it wasn't. Yeah, I think I drew the hell out of it. So yeah, I was really enjoying it, but I don't know what's going on with it. So
Okay. So this one's from Gary. Gary asks, Cher could famously turn back time. Does this...
Sorry, I didn't hear that first bit properly. Okay, go on, right.
Does this make her a hero or a villain? And is she DC or Marvel?
Whose question was this again? Gary, was it?
This is Gary, yeah.
Gary, you're a gobshite.